The pastor took away her husband-to-be. So this lady is called Jane. She said for 5 years, she has been the woman behind Mark's success. Her boyfriend's name is Mark, and they've been together for 5 years now. She said she's a street vendor. She sells roasted corn on the streets. And Mark was one of her frequent customers. Mark was a graduate, yes, but he wasn't having a job at that time. And at that time too, he was living in that face me, I face you houses. So he was really struggling. But he asked Jane out, and Jane agreed. And the reason why she agreed was because even though Mark wasn't working and all that, she realized Mark was really kind and loving and very respectful as well. So she was like, okay, she would give it a try and support him. So she said that knowing that Mark was really struggling and she was just a WAEC, graduate, and she was a corn seller or a roasted corn seller, she was the one helping him financially, to the extent that sometimes she would give every penny she has sold that day to Mark so that at least he could float on the waters and not sink, because she believed in him and knew that one day God would open door for him. You understand? So she was really open, supportive and all that. And Mark never made her feel like she would regret doing all that. So she went ahead and placed all her eggs in one basket. So after 4 years of dating, 4 years of supporting him in and out, finally Mark was able to get a job. And when he got a job, things started changing for him drastically. Like everything was becoming great for him, to the extent that he rented a 3-bedroom apartment, bought a new car, and then asked Jane to stop selling roasted corn on the streets and move in with him. So she realized, well, it's time for her to at least enjoy. And she also said that Mark promised her that he will open a hair business for her, so there is no need for her to continue selling the roasted corn. So she moved into the house with Mark, knowing that, well, in some few months or so, or even a year, they will be getting married. You understand? And where they moved to, the house is actually close to a very big church in that area. So Mark told her one day that they should attend that church, since he actually loves, the word of God. He loves going to church and all that. He can't be moving all the way from where he is staying now to his old church. So the two of them should rather relocate to this new church and fellowship there. Because she didn't think anything of it, she agreed and said, okay, yeah, that's good. So they started going to that church. The first day they entered that church, they welcomed them so warmly. And when they closed the service that day, they were asked to wait for the general overseer. They all call him Papa. Most churches call their general overseer Papa. So they waited. And when the man of God came, looking at how well built Mark is and how wealthy he looks, he told Mark to join the protocol team and rather told Jane to join the ushering team. So they did, and they became very, very active in the church. They were really active, and Mark was donating so much for every church project they were doing. So when Mark was able to buy a second car, the pastor said he has to come to Mark's house to officiate and bless the car. They actually wasn't really in support of that. They were like, oh, Papa, there is no need. But the pastor was like, no, I need to come to your house, bless the car, and also pray for you in your house and all that. And then he said, okay. They said, okay, meaning Mark said, okay. The pastor, as at now, didn't know that Mark and Jane were living together. People actually didn't know in the church that they were living together. So the moment the pastor said that following week he'll be there to bless the church, after church, he told Jane that this is what the pastor has said. So on that day, I will need you to stay somewhere. You can rent a hotel and stay there for that afternoon. When they leave, I'll call you for you to come back. And she said, okay. She really didn't like it. She didn't understand why your boyfriend would say that, but she understood. Mark told her that I don't want the pastor to see us living together when we are not married yet. So you go and stay in the hotel for today. When they leave in the evening, I'll call you for you to come back. And she said, okay. So that day, when they closed church, she went straight to the hotel. She didn't go with Mark. So Mark was the one who went to the house alone. And the pastor also, followed. And whatever happened, Jane had no idea. You understand? So she was very tired with ushering the whole day at the church. So when she got to the hotel, she fell asleep. Around 7 p.m., Mark called and was like, oh, they've all left. So now you can come back home. And then she went back home. So when she went back home, Mark told her everything that the pastor said. And even showed her messages of, talking to his friend about the hair business that he had promised her. So she felt really secured. She felt, okay, this man is actually not playing me for a fool. So a month later, the papa of the church called Mark into his office after church. He called Mark into his office and had a conversation with him. And when Mark came out, he didn't look happy. And then Jane asked him, why? What is it? What did Papa say? And then he said, Papa said I have to start thinking of getting married. And I even told him that I'm engaged to a lady who helped me when I had nothing. So she's the one I would like to get married to. But rather, Papa said God is the one telling him to tell me who to marry. And so he wants him to marry one of his daughters so that his daughters will pull him closer to God. And then Jane was like, don't mind him. Maybe he's just talking, so you don't mind him. And then they went home. This went on for like 3 months. You understand? One day when they closed service, she was actually waiting for Mark near the car, waiting, for them to go home. She has waited in the sun for so long, Mark is not coming. And then she went back to the church to see what was keeping him, only for her to get there and see that Mark is chatting with that supposed choir lady that the pastor has suggested that Mark should marry. She was surprised. And with the way Mark was laughing and chatting with the lady, it felt like they've been in contact for quite a while. It looked like they have been talking because they looked really, really close, or they seemed really, really close. She felt hurt, but she still felt, I need to trust my man. He can't do anything bad to me. He said I shouldn't worry, so I need to trust him. So here's the case that, it was time for them to go. And then Mark offered to give the lady a ride, which is the choir lady. So Jane went to sit in front of the cars in the front seats because that's where she always sits. Only for Mark and the lady to get there, for Mark to tell Jane that please get down and move to the back seats. She was really embarrassed. She didn't say anything. She just stepped down and then went to sit at the back seat. And then the choir lady sat at the front seat like the wife to Mark. She said she was really surprised and felt so hurt, but she held her tears inside. So when they got home, she confronted Mark and asked him why he did that. That was really hurtful. And then he started arguing. To her surprise, Mark told her that she needs to move out because they are living in sin. They are not married yet, so she needs to find a place for herself. And then Mark gave her 500,000 naira to go and rent a place for herself. She was surprised. So the next day she moved out. And after she moved out, Mark never had any time for her again. Whenever she calls Mark, call waiting. When she sends messages, it takes a longer time before he replies. When he goes to the house, he's not around, he's at work and stuff like that. At the church too, he actually doesn't give her, time to talk and all that. So she started hearing rumors that the two of them were together, as in the choir lady and Mark were together. She didn't believe it. So she asked Mark, what's going on? Why am I hearing rumors like this? Are you really dating the lady like I'm hearing? And then Mark was bold enough to tell her, yes, I started dating her and we are going to get married soon. I can't continue with this, so let's end our relationship. Just like that. Just like that. And then she asked him, why? What did she really do wrong? The only thing Mark could say was, this is the first time he has ever gotten a prophecy from God. So he can never go against that prophecy, which is the pastor telling him that God has told him who to marry, which is that colleague. So he can't go against that. He needs to go and marry that lady. She was surprised. She said she cried till there was no tears in her anymore. After that, a month or so, she heard they got married, and the marriage ceremony was the talk of the town. It was one of the biggest in that church. And she kept on crying and saying that should have been her wedding. She said that should have been her reward. And yet still, she's the one here suffering and crying. When it comes to the hair business, the guy didn't do it for him. He made her stop her business as well, which is the corn roasting. And the only thing he gave her was that 500,000 naira to go and rent a place, and that was it. This is really painful and hurtful. Sometimes I don't blame some ladies when they decide not to put all their eggs in one basket. A pastor used prophecy to get a rich man to marry his daughter, just like that, when his daughter didn't even sow where she's reaping right now. The person who sowed the seed is crying, and someone else somewhere is just reaping and enjoying, just like that. How can you be heartless like that? And some people who keep listening to pastors, you know that aside the person being a pastor, he's a man. Remove the puppet, put the puppet aside. He's a man. So if a person cannot be sensible enough to know that this and that they are saying is actually not right, and they use religion, they use God, they use Holy Spirit to cover whatever they are saying, know that that person is not from God. Do you really think that God will tell this pastor to tell Mark that somebody who has helped you for so many years, 5 whole years, leave the person and go and marry someone else? Why then were you sleeping with the person? You were living with her. If she was a bad woman and you are saying, oh, you have a bad character, so I can't marry you, it's understandable. But no, she doesn't have any bad character. Or rather, you are listening to a pastor, all because the pastor has seen that, yes, you are doing donations, you are giving money, your work is actually providing for you enough and you can support his daughter. I feel bad for Jane. But the only thing I would say is, Jane, if you are watching this, don't cry. The God you believe in, I'm just happy that you have left that church, because that pastor is not a real pastor. And by the time Mark realizes that, it will be too late. You might not know, maybe God is actually saving you from something. Maybe if you had married Mark, something might have happened. You understand? It's hurtful, it's painful. But no matter what will happen in your life, just know that it's for a cause or it's for a reason. Don't beat yourself up too much and don't regret too much. See it as you donated to charity or you helped somebody to stand on their feet and move on with your life. There are a lot of people going through what you have gone through. It's very painful. But the only thing I'll tell you is relax and wait for God. If you were Mark, can you do that to somebody who has helped you for so long and give the person just 500,000 naira for 4 years or for 5 years of helping you or for 5 years of seeing you through whatever it is you were going through? And if you were Jane, if you were a lady and you were Jane, what will you do? Will you go to the church premises and cause distraction? During the wedding time, do you go and object or what? Like, what will you do? Let me know in the comment section, because this is really painful. Anyway, if you have your story, you can send it to me in my DMs, or you can tap on the link in my bio and send it to my email. I'll read that for you. Thank you guys, and case closed.